Hello, I'm Spitty Biscuit, and this is my submission for AGDQ 2020 for Crypt the NecroDancer Amplified Coda All Zones. Coda is no stranger to AGDQ events, first appearing back in, I believe it was AGDQ 2016, but things have changed quite a bit since then. The first appearance of Coda, this category, Coda All Zones, was pre-DLC, pre-amplified version, which meant mainly, among other things, that there was no Zone 5, Zone 4 was a little bit easier, and the Ring of Phasing existed, which allowed me to cheese much of the run, just hiding in walls and avoiding combat altogether for the entire run after obtaining the Ring of Phasing. With the Amplified DLC, the Ring of Phasing is no longer in existence, and there's an extra zone, and Zone 4's enemy pool has gotten tweaked to be a little bit harder for Coda. So, yeah, the run is very different, despite being the same category. Despite being the same category as it was back in the original game. It's a very different run, with a lot more difficulty throughout, but I've since improved significantly as a player to make up for the difference in difficulty. So, yeah, just sat down and just really quickly recorded this run. So this is just a pretty typical run. My record is, I believe, just a little bit below the 5-minute mark with a outstanding seed. But this run is a little bit more representative of a run you'd expect to maybe see in the marathon run. So let's go ahead and watch it back. So, Crypt NecroDancer Amplified is divided into 5 zones. The first zone is this kind of cave zone. The biggest obstacle for Coda here is the lack of space to maneuver. Coda is a character that was kind of originally thought to be an impossible challenge by the devs. She combines all of the other challenge characters from the first game, for the first version of the game, into one. So she's Arya, who has a dagger and no HP, and is not allowed to miss beats without dying. Missing beats also includes invalid actions, such as trying to dig a wall you can't dig. Also includes Monk, who has a vow of poverty. You can't touch gold. If you touch gold, you die. And also adds bolts traits, which means the game runs at double tempo, which is why we're moving at 1/8 notes instead of quarter notes. Mainly due to the vow of poverty, the avoidance of gold, that makes the fact that the Zone 1 is full of narrow passageways and a lot of walls really difficult if you don't get a shovel upgrade. But thankfully, we've had some pretty good layouts up to this point, so haven't had to step around gold too much, and with proper enemy management, it's not too hard to do. Finding a transmog there, and gonna just upgrade the shovel for future zones, so we don't have to worry about those high-level walls in later zones at all either. So Death Metal's the fastest song in the game, but with the set of throwing stars, as long as you connect with all 3, Death Metal has 9 HP, and those 3 throwing stars do 3 damage apiece. Once you complete a boss flawlessly, which means taking no damage and dropping no beats, which on Coda you kind of have to do to survive, so you're always getting those flawless rewards. You get 3 choice of 3 chests. The black chest contains armor and footwear, which due to Coda's restrictions, the items you can find in there are very limited. Normally you could find weapons in there too, but Coda can only have the dagger, so limits the black pool from boss chests to heavy glass, heavy glass armor, glass armor, and boots of strength, and the karate gi. All of which are very valuable. I got the karate gi, which boosts my attack damage up to 2. So, yeah, while you are stuck with the base dagger, it doesn't stop you from getting items that increase the damage of said dagger. So, important to make sure you find some of those. Use the Shrine of Chance there. Basically, you can sink money into it for a 50% chance of getting a random item. But if you have a luck type item, like the Lucky Charm I picked up from the Leprechaun, it actually just becomes a 100% guarantee. Just got to make sure you can afford it, as the price does ramp up. So Zone 2 opens up the hallways quite a bit. You've got a lot of 2-tile hallways, but also a lot of tanky enemies in the golems, some tricky enemies to attack, like those moles. The moles you can only attack when they're popped up. If you try to attack their molehill while they're buried, that's going to count as an invalid action and kill you. So, due to the no misbeat requirement. So, Yeah, doing a little shopping. Since Coda can't collect gold normally, Freddy does allow her to take one item for free in every shop. Does make establishing the build, building up a good set of equipment a little bit easier than on some other characters. Combined with, again, her very limited item pool means you are pretty likely going to find some really helpful items fairly early into the run. So for Decimal 2, the second fastest boss in the game, but not too hard. You just gotta clear a space for him to jump off of the stage, and then mostly treat him like a normal mole after that. So I go black there again, either looking for the heavy glass armor, which would reduce my damage to 1, but also give me 3 hits of protection. I'd be allowed to take 3 hits without dying. Or the Boots of Power, or the Boots of Strength, which just give me a +1 damage. I take those over the glass slippers, which only provide immunity to floor hazards like hot coals and ice. Having the extra damage is just more universally useful. Going to the shop over there and picking up the grenade charm. That's going to turn my bombs into a thrown 6 damage projectile instead of the close range planted 4 damage bombs with a fuse delay. Having these thrown grenades that deal very high amounts of damage is very useful for clearing out swarms that I don't really want to get close with. You'll see me using those grenades to clear problematic enemies a lot. And so yeah, Zone 3 has these hot coals and these ice tiles, but more notably has a very open floor layout. Very prone to having its rooms kind of bleed together and possibly giving you lots of swarms, as we saw in the beginning of that floor with the really aggressive rushdown I had to deal with there. So Conga 3 is unique in that the beat map he has is not just a straight set of notes. There's a little bit of a break every 2 measures, which you gotta account for. It's pretty easy to feel out once you know it. So I checked the black there looking for heavy glass again. Don't get heavy glass, but I get normal glass armor, which will give me 1 hit of protection. With the Boots of Strength providing +1 damage, I'm comfortable with swapping off of the additional damage for 1 hit of safety. As long as you have 2 damage, enemies are not too bad to fight, even the tankier ones like these ooze golems. And actually, yeah, correction there, I do have the Strength Charm, so yeah, I'm actually only going down to 3 damage, not even 2 damage. And 3 damage is kind of regarded as a critical threshold in a lot of situations. Most of the convent enemy types cap out at 3 HP. 3 damage also lets you attack and break golems and item gargoyles without having to spend resources like bombs or fireball spells. So this is Zone 4, it's the hardest zone of the run. A lot of complicated enemies like that Goblin Bomber that just got me. Those diagonal movements can be tough to read on the fly. And using the grenades there to deal with that swarm on the other side of the wall there without actually getting close to it. Yeah, glass armor keeping me safe through that bomber hit. Worth noting that on most characters you do have to kill those sarcophagi to clear the floor, but on Coda you are allowed to just bypass those. And finding the glass shop here, so just going to get a fresh set of glass armor for another hit of safety. And yeah, this is 4-3. 4-3 is the hardest floor in the game for sure. Fastest song in the game other than death metal, so fastest non-boss song. It clocks in at a pretty quick 160 BPM, which again, you know, we're playing on double tempo, so that's 320 beats per minute, or over 5 taps a second that I'm having to keep up. And if I miss any one of those taps, I'm dying. So pretty tense moment of the run. You're going to see me use a lot of safeties at this point in the run, just to make sure things go smoothly. A lot of grenades thrown to avoid direct combat whenever I can. And being very cautious with these bats. Bats move randomly, and you have to be able to react to them, but that can be pretty hard at double tempo. So yeah, this Golem, just gotta move around the Golem, and then ready to head into the exit. Picking on that glass jaw earlier on that floor. Glass jaw doubles your final damage calculations, so Boots of Strength and the Strength charm, that does mean I'm doing 6 damage on an attack. Continuing to check that black chest and finally getting the heavy glass armor, so I've got 3 hits worth of safety. Means I can take a lot of punishment before things really become a problem. And picking up an extra bomb there just to punish my grenade stash a little bit. Checking the shop. Not really seeing anything worthwhile though. Coda's item pool is, again, very small, which means that you exhaust the pool pretty quickly and end up wrapping back around to pretty common items towards the end of the run. So those Explorer Boots, pretty common and not very helpful, especially with the Monkey's Paw freezing and those waterfalls. Find the Scroll of Need there, which has a complex set of conditions that can determines what you get out of it. But most notably, the highest priority, or one of the highest priority conditions for it, is if you have half a heart, it'll give you a potion. And potion is essentially an extra life. And since Coda always has half a heart, as long as you don't already have a potion, you're pretty much guaranteed to get that potion for that little bit of extra safety. Popping that shield spell because metronomes are a very complicated enemy, very hard to get a right read on. But that's pretty much the run here. At this point, yeah, I have a high damage throw that lets me just one-shot the Deep Blues fight. And I come in for the finish with a in-game time of 8:54. So yeah, again, this is a extremely challenging character. Only a handful of players have cleared Coda at all, let alone been able to complete speedruns of her. And as the world record holder and the most consistent Coda player in the world, I am definitely confident that I can handle running this in a marathon setting. And yeah, once again, I would really love to show off all of the changes into this category, all the new tech, and all of the new changes that have been put into the DLC since this last made an appearance back in AGDQ a few years ago. But that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching, and thanks for considering this run.